I see Robert Kennedy in a lot of spaces that I wouldn't see the usual politician. So I was happy to see him here.
We're at the Gentleman's Factory in Brooklyn. It's a Black co-working space. Independent candidate for president, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., thinks he can appeal to Black Democrats by talking about economic development, his family legacy, and his work in the environmental justice space. What do you think that you can offer Black voters that Joe Biden cannot?
I've spent 40 years working for economic development, for cleaning up the environment, for health care, for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans.
The Democrat candidates and electeds, they make all sorts of promises, but once they win the election, the delivery, it doesn't match the promises that were made. But every 4 years, we are expected to continue to vote Democrat, an independent candidate, which some feel is a waste of a vote. This is why it's actually appealing this time around.
According to surveys, in the last 40 years, RFK Jr. polls higher than any third-party candidate with a substantial 15% of the potential vote when matched up with Biden and Trump nationally. RFK Jr.'s support from Black voters and longtime Democrats illustrates a fracture in the party and the power of the legacy of the Kennedy family name.
My number one issue is reparations and economic development in Black communities. Joe Biden was elected largely in part due to the racism in America that was highlighted by the George Floyd killing. And he did not pass the legislation. We're still in a bad place to the point where if Black people didn't show up to the polls, I wouldn't blame them. They've lost faith.
Understanding socioeconomics in the Black community intergenerationally from the work that his family has done in investing and understanding Black issues. This is something that he's continued in his campaign and something that's good to see.
Few believe Kennedy will be a real threat to the major party candidates, but his support from a historically strong Democratic voting bloc of Black voters could hurt Biden's chances in November. At the same time, many associate him with his conspiracy theories.
We're being poisoned, and that is what we ought to be focusing on.
Well, you can never agree with everything, but for the most part, I agree with his ideas.
Well, I like the Kennedy mystique. I like the style. Yeah, we all have problems and differences, but quite bluntly, I think he's the best one to be president.